Unfortunately, a lot of self-help books are trite, silly, sometimes pathetic, because if it makes you angry, you'll read it. If it makes you excited, you'll read it. If it's like neutral, you're never gonna go near nonfiction, right? So that I don't go back into the depths of the darkness. It's funny because forthing is not my everything, but for a moment in time, it was. Hi friend! Today I have another haul from a library sale. Okay, the two biggest reasons I love library sales. Well, three. One, it really does support a library and a community, so we love that. Two, you can get a lot for pretty cheap. And because you can get a lot for cheap, or cheaper than if you were to go to most stores, it does give you room to look at things that you would normally not get. So when I'm going to a library sale, my mentality is like, I want to look for things that I wouldn't normally go for. Or if I find a book in a series that I'm reading and I find the next book or a later book in the series, of course I'm gonna get it. But it's also such a beautiful opportunity to like try new things, and if they don't work out, they don't work out, and you don't feel as horrible because they are cheaper, right? Third reason we love library sales is because there are things there that you won't find anywhere else and are usually in pretty good condition. Like, I'm almost always surprised by the condition of the books, even the kids' books, because sometimes like it's a kid's book, it's a library discard, so you're gonna be like, oh, it's probably ripped or colored in, or something like this that has pop-outs. You wouldn't expect all the pop-outs to be there or everything to be working how it should. This book I found, it has flip-outs, it has pop-outs. I found this book, which is a timeline of all the events that happen in Narnia. I have a soft spot for the Chronicles of Narnia. I will always have a soft spot. And not even because it's like the best thing I've ever read, because it's not. But it did teach me a lot about how fantasy should be written. The structure is good. The pacing is good. The rhythm is good. And then it's telling a pretty good story. Now, are there religious undertones? Absolutely. Are those undertones sometimes not under? But it's still a good story. And so this is just like this huge book that has, yeah, the timeline of all the Narnia books and the timelines at the bottom. Now, do I start here or do I start there? Okay. Well, this is the uncorrected proof of the book swap. I like books that have a halfway decent love story. I like books about books. Still reeling from a recent tragedy, Erin knows she needs to start a living but has no idea how. When she accidentally donates her favorite book, oh, never do that. Never do that. A heavily annotated copy of To Kill a Mockingbird, also a good book, containing a memento she can't be without, to a local little free library, she is devastated. But then the book turns up a week later back in the library with fresh notes in the margins, along with an invitation and a copy of Great Expectations to meet her newfound pen pal. A life-changing conversation written only in the margins of a beloved classic begins between Erin and her mystery man. Following each other through the pages of their favorite novels, as the book exchange continues, they both begin to open up, falling into a friendship and maybe even something more. But Erin and her pen pal have a shared history that neither of them has guessed. Of course they do. Faced with painful reminders of the past and the one person she swore never to forgive, Erin finds herself at a crossroads, one that could change her life forever. So, definitely not something I would want to recommend to other people necessarily, because I always question if it's okay to recommend like love stories that are like Hallmarky to people, because it's like, it's kind of like my guilty read. Like, I don't, like, I'll tell you I've read it, but I also don't really want to talk about it more than that, you know? So I'm curious, because when it does come to these type of books, I am very particular, because a lot of them are the same, a lot of them are boring, a lot of them do only fit certain tropes, and then it's like nothing deeper, nothing more interesting. But I do have hope for this one because it's about books, so it should be good. We'll see. Then we have another advanced copy. Someone was giving away their advanced copies to the library, because I also got a bunch of signed books too, but that's for my store and not for me personally. Things I'm Seeing Without You. 17-year-old Tess has just dropped out of high school. She can barely function after learning of Jonah's death. Jonah, the boy she only knew through text and heartfelt emails. Oh no. Did I accidentally pick up books that are in the same vein? Because I don't like when I do that. Jonah, the first boy she told she loved, and the first boy to say it back. Jonah, the boy whose suicide she never saw coming. Most of the time you don't see that coming. Anyway, Tess continues to write to Jonah even after he's gone. That's actually cute. Working through her grief and looking for answers to the big questions that haunt her. So I think based on some of these other books I got that there's going to be a theme of love and a theme of like dealing with grief. Because I'm on a mission to find books that help deal with grief in a positive, good way, because I feel like that's an emotion that people have a hard time talking about, a hard time expressing, and a hard time dealing with. And yet the resources for grief aren't amazing. There's a couple that are, but most of them aren't. And so I have actually found a few novels. Like I have a shelf on one of my bookcases that's specifically just books about grief, but most of them are novels, because I have found a few novels that really can capture that and help people with grief without being, nonfiction. And the funny thing is I'm someone who actually appreciates nonfiction. Like I love nonfiction books. When it comes to grief, I really feel like most of the nonfiction books are lacking. So yeah, apparently there was a theme. I didn't know about it until now. Okay, next we have Darius the Great is Not Okay. I've heard a few things about this a few years ago, but I don't really remember. Pretty sure it was a few years ago. Yeah. Darius speaks better Klingon than Farsi, and he knows more about Hobbit social cues than Persian ones. He's a fractional person, half his mom's side, and his first ever trip to Iran is about to change his life. Darius has never really fit in at home, and he's sure things are going to be the same in Iran. His clinical depression doesn't exactly help matters, and trying to explain his medication to his grandparents only makes things harder. Then Darius meets a boy next door, everything changes, a heartbreaking, brilliant debut. For anyone who's never felt not good enough, then met a friend who makes them feel so much better than okay. This is definitely something I'm going to be reading in the near future. And then we have Stomp Rockets, Catapults, and Kaleidoscopes. I don't like when people make K's look like H's. Like this font makes like K look like an H. I hate that. Sorry. 30 plus amazing science projects you can build for less than $1. Yes, this was in the children's section. And I also just like old kids craft books, because a lot of the times it's fun to kind of decipher why this book was made, and was this made to actually help children learn, or was this made as a cash grab, or was this made with good intentions but executed horribly, so it's fun to play that game as well. This book, I used to have a copy of this and I don't know what happened, so I'm very glad that I found this. It's a story about an alien who comes to Earth, and when he comes to Earth, kind of realizes he fits in more in Earth environments and situations and culture than his own environment and culture. It's kind of touching on stuff like that. I also like that there's a lot of doodles. I don't know. I am coming out of a horrible book slump, so anything that is a little bit easier to read or has pictures to an extent, because it's not a need right now. I need something that's humorous or fast paced or fun to read, so that I don't go back into the depths of the darkness. However, I am currently reading the third book of the Fourth Ring series. It's called the Imperium series or something, which I think I understand why it's called that, but it shouldn't be called that. I have reasons why, but that's for another video. I just know it's going to end in a place where I'm going to be hurt, I'm going to be sad, I'm going to be frustrated, and apparently the next book hasn't even been started to be a book yet. The author has admitted to the fact that they haven't started writing it. It's funny because Fourth Ring is not my everything, but for a moment in time, it was. I'm gonna be very sad when it ends. Okay, another easier to read fun book, which is just Woman in Power. A riveting and wholly original story of an epic quest and a heroine who will stop at nothing to save her brother. A witch has come to the city. She travels in a hut that has chicken feet. Oh, is this supposed to be? Okay. I didn't realize that. Okay. And she is ravenous for children. When the witch captures Hans, Gretel's little brother. I didn't realize it was a retelling of Hansel and Gretel or also the chicken shop witch. Is that what it is? I just saw pretty picture. Must have, right? So I didn't even know what it was about. You know what? I'll give it a chance. Because like I said, I would need something easier, fun, enjoyable. Like, sometimes you need to make reading fun and enjoyable. Because if all you read is dusty old classics and dusty old, like, nonfiction, you will go mad and you won't want to read. So sometimes you just need to read things that are a little bit more fun or a little bit easier or a little bit more entertaining. Sitting Pretty. The view from my ordinary, resilient, disabled body. Here's the thing. I love essay collections. However, finding good essay collections, rare. And that's probably why I do like them, because when I find one that's actually not complete trash, I get really excited. So hopefully this is not complete trash, but it's a collection of essays, blah blah blah, kind of focusing on disability and advocating for disability. But yeah, excited, different, you know. Like I said, when you read nonfiction, you should want the nonfiction to be something that actually sparks your imagination, your attention, or like makes you angry. Because if it makes you angry, you'll read it. If it makes you excited, you'll read it. If it's like neutral, you're never gonna go near nonfiction, right? Another book. Let's see. Taste Like War. A memoir. A memoir. Let's see. Grace M. Cho. Part memoir, part sociological investigation. Taste Like War is a hybrid text about a daughter's search through intimate and global history for the roots of her mother's schizophrenia. In her mother's final years, Grace learned to cook dishes from her mother's childhood in order to invite the past into the present and to hold space for her mother's multiple voices. And over these shared meals, Grace discovered not only the things that broke the brilliant, complicated woman who raised her, but also the things that kept her alive. And I really like that the art, there's like splatterings of blood over all these mushrooms. We need to keep moving. A More Beautiful Question. The updated and expanded 10th anniversary edition. The power of inquiry to spark breakthrough ideas. What captured my attention on the back of this, very in your face. To get better answers, we must first ask better questions. Truth. And like that was the thing that kind of made me pick up this book. But then, let's see, A More Beautiful Question champions the impulse for inquiry. The author introduces surprising masters of questioning. He goes behind the scenes of industry-leading companies to show how the practice is baked into their organizational DNA. And he shares inspiring stories of artists, teachers, and entrepreneurs. Well, we'll see if they're that actually inspiring. But yeah, I do appreciate, like, we should be asking better questions. Because the only way to get to the truth is to ask questions. And the best way to get to the truth faster is to ask better questions. And better questions help us grow and learn more as well. So, I hate it, but I also love it. The idea. Hopefully this is executed well. Because this is leaning towards self-help, unfortunately a lot of self-help books are trite, silly, sometimes pathetic. So I'm hoping that this has good stuff in it and isn't those things. Okay, another book that's kind of leaning towards self-help. Let's say, Bringing Your Boldest Self to Your Biggest Challenges. It's a psychology book. Let's see, The Priestess of Self-Confidence. This is just talking about how to be, well, present and fully there. Because there are too many people in this world walking around that are, I don't know the best way to say this without saying anything too horrendous. So I'm going to say there are a lot of people walking around like NPCs, and I don't want to be one of those people. No, yes, this is definitely self-help, but I'm going to at least give it a chance, because when self-help is done well, or if it comes to you at the right time, then it can change your life. If it doesn't, it's just the negative things I said earlier. Now this is another book about grief, because like I said, I have that collection of books about grief because I'm trying to find good ones. See, how do you deal with a hole in your life? How do you turn to poets and pop songs? Do you dream? Do you try on love just to see how it fits? Do you grieve? If you're Avery, you do all these things, and you write it all down in an attempt to understand what's happened and is happening to you. I Felt a Funeral in My Brain is an astounding novel about navigating death. I mean, it's so sad, sitting there listening to her. She had bipolar disorder. Has bipolar disorder. But she hadn't been diagnosed at that point. And she said she had the thought, okay, so if I just do this, if I just get it over with. She loved her kids, but she was saying sometimes how like her body couldn't, let her love them. So it was like if she could just get rid of the body, then all the love she felt would finally be free to just, Mom moves her hand, exist on its own right, free of selfishness and sickness and human stuff. She was convinced her kids, her babies, would still be able to feel that love without her there. And a better version of it, too. The love, and I was just sitting there listening, thinking about how badly I wanted to come home to you, how I missed you, how I'm just so grateful to be alive, to have you. Woo! Because, well, it's not like the most profound thing I've ever read. It definitely makes you feel the feelings. Definitely makes you feel the feelings. So I definitely had a theme. Like I said, didn't know it. Okay, dying time. A practical wisdom for the dying and their caregivers. I'm going to leave that one there just because of what I just read. So 1, I love the artwork, right? In memoriam, beneath the stone, a lump of clay, lays Uncle Peter Daniels. Too early in the month of May, he took off his winter flannels, lest we forget. So I'm doing 2 or 3 different projects about national parks in the near future. So, of course, when I saw that they had the Yellowstone documentary. Now, is this the one I love? We'll see. Because, unfortunately, a lot of people who try to capture Yellowstone on camera do not do it well. I don't know why. Anyone that knows how to take a halfway decent photograph should be able to capture Yellowstone. Or like the main attractions in Yellowstone. And yet there's so many people who I've seen, even stuff like this, who can't capture Yellowstone. Like, it actually makes me angry. The Donut King. Will Tris become a donut legend or lose it all? The Donut King. So this guy moves from New York City to a small town thinking it's gonna hurt his business. It ends up helping his business. His store has a major supply issue. They just cannot make enough donuts. So he tries to make his donut stop a tourist destination. In a small town in the middle of nowhere, more people are going to get the opportunity to make a donut shop or start a business or get their artwork out into the community. Because there's less people, there's actually more opportunity for an everyday regular person to start something and make it big. People don't realize that. It's like, well, if you want to make it big, you have to go to New York, you have to go to LA, you have to go to Chicago, you have to... Okay, yeah. But because all of these people are fighting for limited spots in a bigger place, you have to be like the perfect version of whatever you're trying to do or be in order to get enough of an audience or enough of a customer base to make a living. Whereas if you're in the middle of nowhere, you could become the best in the middle of nowhere and actually grow in the middle of nowhere in a way that you couldn't in a big city. And common sense is not common, which is unfortunately seems to be the case for a lot of people and a lot of things. Next book. I actually had a copy of this book and got rid of it because I'm like, but I repicked it up because I want to give it a chance. Let's see. She took 1930s New York by storm, working her way up, writing copy for R.H. Macy's to become the highest paid advertising woman in the country. It was a job that she says in some ways saved my life, and in other ways ruined it. So it's the last night of 1984, and Lillian, 85 years old, just as sharp and savvy as ever, is on her way to a party. It's chilly enough out for her mink coat, and Manhattan is grittier now. Her son keeps warning her about a subway vigilante on the prowl, but Lillian has never been one to scare easily. On the walk that takes her more than 10 miles around the city, she meets bartenders, bodega clerks, security guards, criminals, children, parents, and parents-to-be, while reviewing a life of excitement and adversity, passion and heartbreak, illuminating all the ways New York has changed and has not. Lillian figures she might as well take her time, for now, after all, the night is still young. Once I actually realized what it was about, I was like, I need to give it another chance, because we got it in like a big lot of like someone's personal library that they were getting rid of, hundreds of books, and we got it in one of those, and so I didn't think it would be good. So yeah, I want to give it a chance. Garlic and Sapphires. So this is a food critic who got famous, world-renowned food critic and editor. I love stuff about food critics, movie writers, like people that have jobs that are a little bit more absurd or feel like they're harder to get or further away, or like, how do you even do that? I love stories about people whose jobs are more like that. Why I read. The Serious Pleasure of Books. Oh, this is about a critic as well. I forgot I got a bunch of books about critics. Well, because I also got a bunch of books about critics that were selling, so I kept a couple apparently. Wow, yeah, no, it's about a book editor and reviewer. Where Dead Voices Gather. A forgotten singer from the early days of jazz is at the center of this riveting narrative. For 20 years, Nick searched for facts about the life of Emmett Miller, a yodeling blackface performer whose songs prefigured jazz, country, blues, and much of the popular music of the 20th century. But yeah, it's this guy researching this other guy's life. But that's kind of interesting. The part biography, part meditation on the meaning and power of music. And finally, we have a business book specifically. It says it's business. 140 years ago, 4 shopkeepers in Sacramento, California, rose to become the force behind the American Transcontinental Railroad, achieving along the way wealth beyond measure. To build influence and maintain power, they lied, bribed, and when necessary, arranged for obstacles, both human, I thought it was going to be humane, but human and legal, to disappear. That's all I have for you today. It's probably time to say goodbye. I'll see you soon. Bye.